Hello everyone, welcome to Home Time. I'm Jennifer Belanger, Community Sales Manager for Laban Homes here in Central Alberta. If you have never been to Home Time is a show that I do weekly where I get to talk to industry experts about everything to do with your home. Today, I'm happy to announce that we are going to be speaking with Jaimie Fraser. Jaimie works for Jade Stone here in Red Deer, and they specialize in everything to do with quartz and granite. Hello, Jaimie.
Hi, Jen.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So Jaimie, tell us a bit about Jade Stone.
Perfect. So we have been in the countertop industry for just over 20 years. So we service the entire province of Alberta and have actually just recently moved into the Saskatchewan market as well. We have another fabricating facility out of Halifax as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we do a lot of large volume projects, so multifamily condos, that sort of thing. Everything from there all the way down to individual retail jobs with walk-in clients. In October, we moved into a brand new 80,000 square foot fabricating facility in Calgary, which makes us the fourth largest in North America. So that was a really exciting transition for us too.
That is amazing. I had no idea. So, Jaimie, here at Laban, you're actually an approved trade, so we get to work on some houses together, which is kind of neat. So anyone who wants to see some product can come see some of our Laban homes. But when clients come to me, they want to know what the difference is between granite and quartz. Can you give us an idea of what the main difference is between those two products?
Of course. So that is a very common question that we see daily when we're servicing people in our showroom as well. So with the granite, it is a natural product. So it comes directly out of the quarry. There's really no way of sort of controlling the aesthetics of it, if you will. It has a lot of patterns and variations, and when it comes out of the quarry, we'll sort of determine the look of that.
Okay.
Quartz is more of a man-made product. It is composed of quartz pieces as well as pigments and resins, which will make up the coloring of the slabs. So that's the primary difference between the two products. Also the maintenance component of it. With granite, it does have a maintenance component, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit more. But with the quartz, there is no maintenance. So other than the maintenance aspect, it really comes down to the aesthetics of what people are looking for. So those would be the primary differences.
Okay. So how does somebody know which product is right for them?
Well, people are always considering, obviously, budget can be a bit of a factor in their determination of how they want to proceed forward. But again, it's more just the aesthetics of it. So what sort of look are they going for? Do they want something more traditional? Are they moving more towards a bit of a modern look?
So where does the stone actually come from? You had mentioned that quartz is a man-made product.
Yeah.
So where do these products come from?
They come from sort of all over the world. Quite a bit of it comes from India, Brazil, Norway, so varying locations across the world actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are there different grades or types of granite and quartz?
Particularly with the quartz, that would be true. There's several different suppliers out there in the market that you can choose from. The one thing with quartz that sort of determines the quality is how it's fabricated. People who are using Breton equipment, which is sort of the state of the art, tend to be able to have a bit more control when they're producing the pieces, so they tend to be a little bit better quality.
Okay.
With the granite, being that it's natural, not so much different quality, but there are different sort of aspects to that. So when you get into more exotic granites that are coming out of the quarry, there's different characteristics that you need to be aware of. Some of the granite can be a little bit more fragile, a little bit more susceptible to chipping, having cracks and fissures, that sort of thing.
Okay. And can you show us which one is quartz and which one is granite?
So all the ones we have lined up here are quartz, and it's a name brand called Caesar Stone that we work very closely with.
Okay.
And then here we've got a more high-end sort of exotic granite. This is called Bianco Antico.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and these, what are these products here?
These ones here are actually marble.
Okay.
We don't see a whole lot of this in the market right now, primarily because marble is very soft and it can be very susceptible to staining, so not really functional in high traffic areas such as kitchen, particularly with people who have small children. So not to say that it's not a product that we don't work with, but there are a lot of factors to consider.
And that's why they go see you, right?
That's right.
Okay. So for those of you who are just tuning in, I'm Jennifer Belanger. I'm a community sales manager for Laban Homes, and you've just tuned into Home Time, and I'm interviewing Jaimie Fraser with Jade Stone here in Red Deer. Jaimie specializes in granite and quartz. We just went over some of the differences between granite and quartz, and now we're going to talk about some maintenance and what that looks like. So Jaimie, can you tell us what the different maintenance is between granite and quartz and what somebody needs to know as far as that goes?
Of course. So with the quartz being a man-made product, it is non-porous, so there is no sort of maintenance component to that.
Nice.
Which is why I think we're seeing, about 80% of people sort of leaning towards quartz. We all have busy lives, we don't want one more thing that we have to take care of. With the granite, it does need to be sealed on a regular basis. How often is really dependent upon each individual granite that you may choose.
Okay.
You can do something with a simple water drip test where you put a few drops of water on your granite. If it stays beating on top, you're still fine, but if it's absorbing right away, you know that it's time to be sealed.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and some needs to be sealed as often as 2 to 3 times a year, others might be fine just annually. As well as when you place your order, you are able to purchase a lifetime sealer through us.
Okay.
Which would sort of alleviate you from, as a homeowner, from having to take care of that regular sealing maintenance.
So is it sealed when they first get the product?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sealed when it's first installed, but we do recommend checking probably within the first 2 to 3 months, just because some stones are more porous than others and may require sealing sooner rather than later.
Okay. So what's the best product to actually clean your countertop?
Soap and water only is all we recommend. It's hard to sort of determine if anything other than that is safe, and nothing else is really necessary, particularly with the quartz. Again, as I mentioned, it's non-porous, so you don't sort of have to worry about anything being absorbed into that. And with certain chemicals, if you use them over an extended period of time specifically, you're going to find a buildup on your countertops that may or may not be able to be removed. So being that you've, paid good money for these, you want to take proper care of them so that they will last you a lifetime.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good point. So a couple things, I know people ask all the time about specific ways that they're going to use their granite and quartz.
Sure.
So let's go over a few things. Can you actually cut on the countertop, or do you need a cutting board?
Yeah, those are really good questions. Again, typical customer questions when they come to visit our showroom. You can cut on the granite, although it's very hard on your knives. So that's something to consider, as well as I would avoid it in the event that you haven't taken care of the maintenance and sealed it. There is an opportunity for whatever you're cutting to be absorbed into your stone. So using a cutting board sort of prevents that from being a risk factor. And yeah, with the quartz, I would go ahead and just stay in those good habits and practices of using cutting boards.
Okay. And what about putting something hot on the countertop?
Well, granite can tend to be a little bit more heat resistant than the quartz. I would definitely avoid it with the quartz. If you burn that, there's not much we can do to sort of repair that. So I would stay away from that. Granite, I guess, the jury's still out on that one a little bit. I know that a lot of people do and haven't had any issues. But again, I sort of like to promote best practices to prevent any sort of damages. But definitely the granite would be a little bit more heat resistant than the quartz.
Okay. And what about stains?
Again, with the quartz being non-porous, you really shouldn't run into a lot of staining. And any sort of stains you get should be more of a surface stain.
Okay.
You don't want to leave red wine or blueberries or anything like that left on there for an extended period of time. But if you're sort of cleaning it with soap and water on a regular basis after each use, you really shouldn't have any issues with the staining.
Okay.
And with your granite, of course, if you are following the practices of sealing, again, you should be able to avoid staining. In the event that you do run into that sort of an issue, you're welcome to call us at the showroom. We can sort of discuss what the stain is and recommend very specific products that you may be able to try to remove the stain.
Okay. And what about quartz with that? Sorry. Does the quartz stain as much?
It's non-porous, so any sort of stain that you get should be more of a surface stain as opposed to absorbing into the stone. And there are a number of products we can recommend depending on what the stain is.
Perfect. So what's the warranty actually on any of your products?
So it really varies depending on the product line. We promote primarily Caesarstone and Silestone, both of which offer a manufacturer's warranty. So it would depend on what the issue was. Of course, with chips or anything that could be because of homeowner use or misuse, those would not be covered.
Okay.
But if, say, over the period of time, if you found one such as a sample of ocean foam was sort of staining or discoloring or that sort of thing, something like that would be deemed a manufacturer's warranty issue. As well at Jadestone, we do provide a lifetime warranty on your seams. So if you do end up with a seam in your countertop and over time it sort of starts to separate, we are able to come out and repair that, and that is included in our warranty.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So how long should your product actually last?
Well, I think as long as you're taking the proper care of it, particularly with the granite, if you're doing your sealing and you're only washing it with soap and water and sort of following the guidelines that we provide to you at the onset, it really should be able to last you a lifetime.
Okay. For those of you who are just signing in, I'm Jennifer Belanger, and you've signed in to Home Time. I'm a community sales manager here with Laban Homes, and I'm interviewing Jaimie Fraser with Jadestone, and we're talking about everything to do with granite and quartz. So we've kind of gone over kind of the basics of the differences and some of the more maintenance pieces, but now I kind of want to get into the fun part of design and chat about what Jaimie's seeing this year. So Jaimie, what are the most popular designs for 2017 that you're seeing coming across your showroom?
Well, I think right now people are tending to lean a little bit more towards quartz, as I alluded to earlier. I think that's primarily because people want one less thing to have to worry about in their busy
Everyone's
lives.
so busy.
Exactly. So we are seeing a lot more quartz than granite. And right now we seem to be seeing a lot of the marble sort of look that you'll see on these two style stone
Gorgeous.
quartz. So yeah, the white sort of base with the gray veining running through it, we're seeing a lot of that right now.
So this is a quartz.
You betcha, yeah.
Wow.
Quartz has come a long way in a relatively short period of time. We used to see more sort of uniform look,
Yeah.
and now we're seeing a little bit more creativity with the patterns and designs that are being added to it. So you can almost sort of have the look of granite without the maintenance component.
Quite a bit of character that you can throw into your
It
home,
is,
right?
it's beautiful. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of the whites and grays with the really clean lines and a little bit of modern mixed with rustic as well, so, yeah.
No, that's pretty much what we're seeing in our homes
Right.
too, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
So besides countertops, what other things are people using granite and quartz for?
From time to time, we'll do fireplace walls, and we'll do cladding in showers, quite often shower benches, as well as outdoor applications, so outdoor barbecue areas, kitchen areas, that sort of thing.
Oh, it'd be perfect because it'd be easy for weather and everything
Exactly.
else, right?
I would recommend for outdoor applications specifically that you lean more towards a granite versus quartz.
More of a natural.
And less risk factors with the fading from the sun. If quartz was to be exposed for a long period of time, I would be concerned about that.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I hadn't thought of.
Mhm.
So when we're designing a kitchen and we know that we're going with granite and quartz, is there any tips that we should think of about choosing our sink?
Well, really, you have flexibility on whether you choose to go with a drop-in or an undermount. For cleanliness sake, a lot of people go with the undermount, so they're able to just sort of clean right from the countertop into the sink, as opposed to sort of having that lip there where bacteria and such can collect. The important thing for us is that before we come to do our template, which is a site measure that we do following the cabinet installations, and we do that with a laser measure, that we need to have those sink specs ahead of time. So we need to know what sort of sink you're using, how we're going to mount it, but other than that, like I said, there's flexibility on what you choose to use as your sinks.
Good to know. So when I had to choose my granite, one thing that I wasn't sure on was edges.
Right.
Can you kind of tell me a little bit about edges and what your choices are with that?
Sure. So for us, when we originally provide a quote to someone, we have two standard edge profiles. You've got the one there beside you, and I've got the other one here. So as you can see, this is more of sort of the flat, clean line, and that one you've got, exactly, you've got a bit of a rounded. So right now we're seeing a lot of this, it sort of lends itself to that modern look. That might be a little bit more traditional, and really that's just based on your preference aesthetically. We do have a number of other edge profiles, I believe about 5 or 6 in the showroom that people can select from as well. They would be considered an upgrade, and the price is just based per lineal foot. So there are definitely other options there, but I would say that 90% of our clients stay within the regular edge profile.
Okay. And And what about finishes? Is there different finishes actually to the granite or quartz?
So typically with the quartz, you're going to see polished slabs, which is what these are displayed here.
Okay.
And there are a handful of colors that come in a home finish. So they're a bit more of a flat, less shiny sort of look.
Okay.
And, excuse me, again, that's just based on aesthetics. With granite specifically, you can choose to do a leathered application on the top, which is very beautiful, just sort of has a little bit of texture to it, and it's just a little bit more of a unique look.
Yeah, we actually have that in our main office if anyone wants to
Yeah.
come peek at it. It's gorgeous.
It is beautiful. So that would be one of the options with granite, of course, at a different price point than what the polished would be, but it's nice to know there's another option.
That's the neat thing. I think when people think of granite or quartz, you think of one design.
For
But
sure.
There's all these little pieces that you put with it and can kind of change to get different looks.
For sure, yeah, make it unique to suit your needs, you bet.
So one question I also get that I kind of wanted to go over was how big of a piece of granite or quartz can you go before
Sure.
you need to have a second piece?
You betcha. And again, that's a really good question. A lot of people sort of want to avoid having a seam, and because you will always be able to see and feel your seam. I mean, you can only get that so tight. I mean, our guys are fantastic on site about doing a great job, but you still know that it's there. Excuse me, I would say that the average size would be about 118 inches before you would need a seam.
Okay.
But again, that would be contingent upon a couple of other factors. Depending on what color you choose and what material you go with, the slabs seem to vary a little bit in size, as well as the other thing we need to consider when we come to do that site measure we talked about earlier with that template. Our templater will assess the access to the site. So if we find that there's, huge staircase or really tight corners, we may need to put a seam in there just to be able to get the slab into the house. So there are a few factors.
It's kind of an important factor,
That's
right?
right. Exactly.
You get there and there's no coming in the door.
That's right.
Plans change.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, Jaimie. Well, I think we've learned a ton about granite and quartz. Can you tell us a bit about where your showroom is and what would be the best way to contact you?
Yeah, you betcha. So our showroom is located in North Red Deer, so 74 29 49th Ave. And you can just stop in anytime, or you can call ahead of time and make an appointment, sort of whatever's convenient. We're open Monday to Thursday, 8 to 5, and Fridays, 8 to 4. Should a homeowner need to meet with us on a weekend, should we know that in advance, we can make accommodations for that as well.
Perfect. And you do new home builds as well as renos
You
and
betcha.
everything in between?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Sort of a jack of all trades.
Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned some things here today from Jaimie. I know I learned a ton.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
very
you for
excited to
having
have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
If you want to get a hold of Jaimie, make sure to check it out. We'll put her link at the bottom here of the video so that you can check that out. And if you want to learn more about me or Laban Homes, definitely go to laban.com and you can see some of the beautiful houses that Jaimie has installed some granite and quartz for us. Have a great day and thank you for tuning in.